Hello everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Before we begin this story, let me know where you are watching from, and I want you to do something for me. I want you to think of the one person you trust the most. Got them? Hold that thought. Because this is a story about how the person you'd least expect can become the source of your greatest pain and your greatest strength. If you're ready for a journey into the darkest corners of betrayal and the long road back, then hit that like button, subscribe, and let's begin. The porch light of our son's house was a perfect, elegant globe, casting a soft, expensive glow on the manicured pathway. It was a light that spoke of success, of arrival, for my husband Arthur and me. After 42 years of a life built on balance sheets and grease-stained hands, stepping into that light felt like the culmination of everything we'd worked for. Our son, Leo, and his wife, Chloe, had welcomed us with open arms. "Stay as long as you need, Mom, Dad," Chloe had said, her smile as flawless and warm as the interior design of their glass and steel home. Our own small bungalow was being treated for a stubborn mold issue, and this invitation felt less like a necessity and more like a reward. A month-long vacation in the lap of our son's hard-won luxury. The first week was a beautiful dream. Chloe cooked meals that were works of art, her laughter tinkling through the open-plan living space. She called me Mom, with an ease that warmed my heart. Leo was attentive, showing Arthur his new smart home system with a boyish pride that reminded me of the child who'd marveled at his father's toolboxes. We were a family, basking in the golden twilight of our lives, surrounded by the evidence of our son's success. We had planted the seeds, and now we were, finally, sitting in the shade. But paradise, I've learned, is often a carefully maintained facade. The first crack appeared subtly, a hairline fracture in the perfection. I'd gotten up early, filled with a familiar maternal urge to make my famous blueberry pancakes, the same recipe Leo had devoured every Saturday morning of his childhood. Chloe drifted into the kitchen, a vision in a silk robe. "Oh, Mom, you shouldn't have," she said, her voice sweet as honey. "But Leo and I are on a very strict macro-biotic, gluten-free cleanse this month. Our nutritionist plans every calorie. Maybe just some green tea for us?" Her smile was fixed, but her eyes held a different message. A subtle dismissal. Later, I found the box of pancake mix I'd brought, the one with the faded recipe I'd scribbled on the side decades ago, sitting in the kitchen trash bin. Not even the compost. The message was clear. Our traditions, our offerings, were clutter in their pristine world. The distance grew in quiet increments. Arthur, a master mechanic with hands that could diagnose an engine by sound alone, noticed a squeaky board on the expansive deck. "Son, just pass me that drill," he'd said, already rolling up his sleeves. "I'll have it sorted in 5 minutes." Leo didn't look up from his phone. "It's fine, Dad. The contractor is handling it. It's under warranty. You don't need to trouble yourself." Trouble yourself. He made Arthur's lifelong competence, the very thing that had put him through business school, sound like an unsightly inconvenience. We were slowly being transformed from cherished family into guests who had overstayed their welcome. The true turning point came from Arthur's quiet, stubborn practicality. The smart home system, the nerve center of their beautiful house, was glitchy. The thermostat in our guest suite would read a balmy 75 degrees, yet the room was cold enough to see our breath. One evening, while Leo and Chloe were out at a charity gala, Arthur fetched his little signal scanner, a device he used to talk to car computers. "Helen, this thing is on the fritz again. Probably a simple sensor error. Let me just take a quick look." "Arthur, we shouldn't," I warned, a flutter of anxiety in my chest. "It's their things." He gave me a wink, The same one he'd used for 40 years when he was about to fix the unfixable. What they don't know won't hurt him. He synced his scanner to the tablet that controlled the house. The screen flickered, and instead of the friendly interface with icons for lights and music, a stark green-on-black command line appeared. It was a log of system activities. Arthur's playful expression vanished, replaced by a deep frown. "That's odd," he muttered, scrolling. "There are audio channels active, several of them, labeled Guest Suite 1, Kitchen, Living Room, Helen." He looked up at me, his face pale. "That's us. They're listening to us." A cold dread, colder than the air in our room, washed over me. The generosity, the warm welcome, it was a lie. We were being monitored in the home we were supposed to be sharing. We didn't sleep that night. We felt violated, paranoid. Why? What could they possibly need to hear? Arthur, his jaw set in a grim line I hadn't seen in years, figured out how to access the archived audio files. He filtered for that evening, for the time after Leo and Chloe had returned home. With trembling hands, we put on our headphones and pressed play. The voices that filled our ears were not the ones we knew. "Just another week or so, Chloe," Leo was saying, his voice thick with what sounded like fatigue. "Or maybe wine. Then the house will be clear and they can go back." "A week?" Chloe's voice was sharp, stripped of all its practiced sweetness. "Leo, we agreed. The moment the papers are signed, the dynamic changes. We can't have them getting too comfortable. They're already getting attached. Your mother tried to make pancakes, for God's sake. It's pathetic." The word was a physical blow. Pathetic. My offering of love, reduced to a character flaw. "They're my parents," Leo replied, his voice weak. "They sacrificed a lot." "Sacrifice?" Chloe's laugh was a short, cruel sound. "That's the emotional currency of their generation. They want to feel owed. It's a leash. Our plan only works if we maintain control. We need them soft, dependent, and most importantly, guilty." Arthur's hand found mine. It was ice cold. The listening devices were a masterstroke. She continued, her tone shifting to one of clinical pride. "Did you hear them tonight? Your father complaining about the cold? We can use that. We'll have the contractor discover a serious, expensive flaw in their house's HVAC system next week. A direct result of their neglect. Something that will cost them their entire savings to fix." "Chloe, that's their retirement." Leo's protest was feeble. "Precisely. And when they're desperate, we swoop in. We offer to let them move into the granny flat above the garage. For a nominal rent, of course. Once they're in, we have leverage. We have the forgivable loan document ready. Remember?" My blood turned to ice. A forgivable loan. Leo had explained this corporate financial tool to us once, proud of his sophisticated knowledge. A loan that is forgiven as long as certain conditions are met. If the conditions are breached, the full amount becomes due immediately. The conditions will be simple. Chloe went on, her voice dripping with calculated malice. Monthly wellness checks where we assess their mental and physical fitness to live independently. Unlimited babysitting for when we have children, no excuses. And most importantly, they sign over the deed to their house to us as collateral. If they ever complain, or disobey, or become difficult, we call the loan. We take their house. The house they mortgaged for your education. It's poetic, really. It feels harsh, Leo murmured. "It's business, Leo," she snapped, her voice turning to steel. "It's securing our future. We can't have sentimental attachments weighing us down. They had their life. This is ours. We're not throwing them out on the street. We're just streamlining the inheritance, managing our assets. They'll be taken care of, as long as they're useful and compliant." There was a silence, then the clink of a wine glass. "Think of the cliffside property, Leo," Chloe said, her voice softening into a seductive whisper. "The one with the ocean view. The down payment is almost within reach. This is how we get it. This is how we win." The audio ended. The silence in our dark room was deafening, broken only by the frantic hammering of my own heart. Asset management. That's what we were. A portfolio to be streamlined. Our love, our sacrifices, our home. It was all just equity to be liquidated. The granny flat wasn't a kindness. It was prison. The forgivable loan was an instrument of total control. They were planning to systematically dismantle our lives and own our souls, all while posing as our saviors. We looked at each other in the dim, cold light. 42 years of shared history passed between us in that single, horrified glance. There was no anger yet, just a profound, bone-deep grief. The death of the son we thought we had. Our house keys. I whispered, my voice hoarse. "Do you have them?" "Always," Arthur rumbled, his voice a low, steady vow. We moved with a quiet, desperate efficiency. We didn't pack the new clothes they'd bought us, the expensive trinkets. We took only what we had arrived with, our old, comfortable suitcases, the faded family photographs, the few heirlooms that held real meaning. We were ghosts, erasing all trace of ourselves from our son's masterpiece. Writing the note was the hardest part. What could possibly capture the cataclysm of that betrayal? Arthur took the pen. His hand, usually so steady, shook slightly as he wrote just 5 words on a piece of their thick, monogrammed stationery. 5 words that held a universe of pain and finality. "We know about the loan." We didn't sneak out. We walked out, our footsteps echoing in the vast, silent hallway. We opened the heavy front door and stepped into the chill of the midnight air. It was the most freeing and the most devastating walk of our lives. We got into our old, reliable sedan, the one Leo was always subtly embarrassed by, and drove away from their palace, back into the dark, uncertain night. The first few days in our own, now mold-free, home were a blur of tears and silence. The phone rang incessantly. Leo, then Chloe, then texts, shifting from concerned to confused to angry. "Where are you? What is this about? You're being irrational." We didn't answer. We were grieving. But we were also the children of a generation that understood survival. Arthur sat at our worn kitchen table, a legal pad before him. "They think we're soft," he said, his eyes like flint. "They think because we're kind. We're weak. It's time we remind them what kind of stock they come from." Our plan was simple, but it required absolute discipline. We became a black hole. No contact, no response. We changed our numbers. We let their words, their lies, their manipulations vanish into the void without a single echo. We knew they were relying on our emotional dependence. By severing it completely, we pulled the rug out from under their entire psychological operation. They had no lever to pull. We met with a lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Rita, who listened to our story with a look of grim understanding. We drew up new, ironclad wills and a living trust. Our entire estate, the house Leo had coveted, our life savings, was now designated to a charitable foundation that supported trade schools for underprivileged kids. Not a single cent would ever go to Leo or Chloe. A month of silence passed. Then, the doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw him. Leo. Alone. He looked shattered. The expensive suit was gone. He was in jeans and a wrinkled shirt. his face pale and shadowed. He looked like our boy again, but broken. "Do we let him in?" I whispered to Arthur. "We hear him out," he said, his voice firm. "On our turf. On our terms." Leo sat on our old sofa, looking small and out of place. "Mom, Dad, I don't understand. You just left. You broke Chloe's heart. You broke mine." We said nothing. The silence in our cozy living room was heavier than any he could imagine. He flinched under our combined gaze. "That note. The loan? What loan?" "We were going to offer you a loan to help with the house repairs. A gift. Practically." "You've completely misunderstood. The gaslighting. The attempt to rewrite reality." "We heard you, son," Arthur said, his voice quiet, but with the gravity of a judge passing sentence. "That night, through the system you used to listen to us. We heard every word." The color drained from Leo's face. The mask of the wounded son crumbled into sheer, panicked shock. He had not accounted for his father's quaint technical skills. That was, he stammered. "It was just a theoretical discussion. Business school hypotheticals. Chloe gets carried away." "Don't, Leo," I said, my voice steady, though my heart was breaking. "Don't insult our intelligence, and don't you dare throw her under the bus alone. You were there. You were compliant." He stared at us, and for the first time, he saw us not as his soft-hearted parents, but as two people who had looked into the abyss of his betrayal and had not fallen in. "I'm sorry," he cried, real tears streaming down his face. "I'm so sorry. It was a mistake, a moment of weakness. The pressure, the lifestyle. Chloe, she pushes me to be better, to want more. There's a difference between wanting more and being willing to destroy everything to get it," Arthur said. "We mortgaged our more to give it to you, and you were going to take the roof over our heads as collateral." He had no answer. He just cried, and the mother in me ached to hold him. But the woman who had heard the plan for her own indentured servitude held firm. The son we raised would never have needed a forgivable loan to control his parents. I said, "The son we raised is gone. We mourn him every day. What can I do?" He begged, desperate. "How do I fix this? Tell me. I'll do anything." "There's nothing to fix, Leo," Arthur said. "The vase is shattered. You can't unbreak it. The trust is gone. We want you to leave now," I said, my voice finally cracking. "And we don't want you to contact us again." The finality in the room was absolute. He looked from my face to Arthur's and saw no doorway back, no lever to pull. We had taken away his power by no longer needing anything from him, not even his love. He stood up, a broken man, and walked out of our house, out of our lives, for good. We learned that the highest stake in life isn't money or property. It's your peace, your soul, your freedom. We chose our freedom over a Trojan horse. We chose our peace over a warped version of family. We heard, about a year later, through the fragile grapevine of old friends, that the cliffside property never happened. The stress of their failed plan, the guilt, or perhaps just the inherent rot in a foundation built on manipulation, had cracked their perfect union. Leo and Chloe divorced. It was messy, we were told. The glass house they built couldn't withstand the stone of truth we threw that midnight. Our lives are quieter now. Smaller, by their standards. But it is our life. We have our friends, our garden, the simple, profound peace of a balanced ledger, and a well-tuned engine. The pain is still there. A ghost limb. A dull ache on rainy days. But we carry it together. We learn that sometimes, The most powerful revenge is not a dramatic confrontation. It's a quiet, dignified exit. It's living well, on your own terms. It's protecting the love you built from the poison of betrayal. The most dangerous traps aren't the obvious ones. They are the ones baited with love, wrapped in family, and presented as opportunity. The forgivable loan is a metaphor for any relationship where the price of forgiveness is your entire self. So, I ask you, look at the people in your life. Are they building you up? Or are they drawing up blueprints for a cage? Are your sacrifices seen as love or as leverage? Your peace, your soul, your freedom that is the one asset you should never, ever put up as collateral. Guard it with your life.